Welcome back to Grassroots Media, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Marathon QuickStops Eddie Spradlen Show, where we cover everything inside of Burley Stadium with the Greeneville Green Devils. As always, I'm joined here with Green Devils head coach Eddie Spradlen. Coach,
glad to be here, man.
How are we doing today on Veterans Day?
Doing good.
It's good to be out here. It's good to still be left standing. It's the playoffs. Not everybody's afforded that opportunity. Starts with 32 teams down to 16. You're one of those last 16 standing after a win over Carter. Big win over Carter, 56-7. Started out a little slow, had the punt team come out, which we're not used to. But from there on out, it was a score every offensive drive until the end of the game. So talk about how you were able to get things going and get it done.
Yeah, like first off, it's nice to be out here in shorts on a
November 11th, yes.
Yeah, but, you know, it's you start off and, you know, we obviously didn't play our best. You know, they wanted the football, they wanted the toss. We got we stopped them, and we first play, we got ourselves behind the chains. They called that a fumble, and that's an incomplete pass. The guy on our sideline said he had control of it, but he never had control of it. So just kind of got behind the chains, and we weren't able to, get off the field there, and needed to work at punt team. So it's good to be able to do that. But after that one series, we just got it going, and we're ready to go.
And I talked about it too in the article that I wrote after the game, but it was a great night all around because it was an offensive explosion that produced a lot of career highs and a record-breaking touchdown. We'll talk about the record-breaking touchdown first before we go into the career highs, but each week we always sit down and we talk about Carson Quillen. Well, we've talked about him enough now to where he's now your all-time leading scorer here in Greeneville. Football history with that 11-yard touchdown in the end zone right here behind us. He became the all-time leading scorer in program history. I didn't know that he was that close to the record. Knew he had to be close because the last 2 years he's just produced touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. He broke the record on Friday night. How special of a moment was that?
A really special moment for sure. He was just goes back to all the hard work and what he's been able to do for this program. His 4 years here, and he's played a big role as a sophomore. A lot of sophomores don't get to play much around here, and he stepped in there and played a lot, a receiver that year, and played some running back that year as well. But a big time career, and a guy who don't want that attention, a lot of times. So, but a really special moment.
And I talked to him after the game too, and it's special to talk to a player who not only is happy about the moment, but the first thing he does is he talks about his teammates. He doesn't talk about how special it is for himself. He goes into thanking his offensive line, thanking his receivers for blocking for him, thanks the fans, thanks the community, everybody that's backed him throughout the years, the coaches, his teammates. It's awesome to see a player get asked about his singular personal career accomplishment, and he goes into talking about his teammates first and foremost.
Yeah, it just shows what a great young man he is, and he comes from a really good family, and he's been raised the right way, and he shows it. When he's on the field, how he plays, and when he's in the weight room, just he's a great student down in the school, a great baseball player, just a tremendous young man.
And outside of that, you had two other great performances by Zayden Anderson and Caden Ball. We come in every single week. We talk about all three: Carson Quillen, Caden Ball, Zayden Anderson. Well, Caden and Zayden hooked up, I think, 5 times for 117 yards and 3 touchdowns. Those are Zayden's, I think, 3 career highs so far in his career here: 5 receptions, 117 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. And then Caden had 15 completions for 206 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. If I'm correct, those are also his 3 career highs so far here in Greeneville. And they were all 3 in the same game here, in a big-time playoff game here at home against Carter. So a perfect time to do it in a game where it's win or go home. How special was that to see both of them have such a great game with each other out there?
Yeah, we've been talking about it, all year. We need to get the ball to him out there on the edge, and big games, got to have, our best players got to make plays. Obviously, Carson did a really good job. Caden, that's the best game he's played since he's been a Green Devil, I feel like. Had a big touchdown, probably a 60-yard touchdown pass called back for a holding penalty, which was I didn't agree with, but he did a really good job rolling out there and put it on the line to Dry Griffin for another touchdown pass, but got called back. But anytime we can get all those guys involved, if we can get those guys going, they all have big games, we're going to be hard to handle.
And then Caden also, he was 13 of 15. That's something that I didn't mention too, is that we come in here and talk about his efficiency each and every week, where he was, I think, 7 of 8 last week, and then you come in and you throw 13 passes, or you have 13 completions on 15 passes. I mean, he's basically going off the efficiency he had last week with almost double the attempts.
Yeah, and I know one of them was probably another touchdown pass. We dropped the ball, and I can't remember what the other incomplete was, but he did a tremendous job. Like I said, ran the ball good for us as well. Smart with it. He's not going to make any dumb decisions. There's a couple passes pass plays we called, and he did a tremendous job getting out there on the edge and throwing the football down the field. And at the same time, there's a couple times he tucked it and got down the field and got positive yards out of it.
46 rushing yards on the night. A few other notes that I had from the offense. Carson's game of 112 rushing yards. That puts him at 6 straight games of 100-plus rushing yards. And you had 528 total yards on offense, which I don't know if that's a season high, but it's got to be up there in the top 3 of how many yards you've accumulated in a game this season. But the big one, for the second straight week, you hold a team to exactly 178 total yards. And that's something I had talked about this year, is when you hold a team under 200 yards, you've won every single game this year. And that's something you did this week. And up until the fourth quarter, you had held them to less than 100 yards total throughout the entire game. And I know they ended up driving there late in the game, but those first 3 quarters, how pleased were you with how great your defense played?
First off, I got to make sure we mention the offensive line. What a tremendous job they did.
Absolutely.
Blocking. Colton Smith did a great job at tight end as well, getting in there and making some key blocks. But hats off to them. We challenge them every game. If we can win up front with those guys, we got a chance to win the football game. Same thing you talk about on defense. We got to win up on the defensive line. Did a tremendous job in our pass coverage. I'm really happy about those guys getting in there and really good quarterback that threw a really good ball, and we were able to limit the number of passing yards they were able to accumulate, and got good pass rush on him. We played their screen. They were a really good screen team. I felt like our D-line played that screen really well. Probably hurt us on our pass rush at times, but the secondary did a really good job in coverage all night long.
And I know you put some of your backups in later in the game also, and you got 2 touchdowns courtesy of them. I know you got Maddox Bishop score 6-yard touchdown down there where he absolutely plowed a defender over to get into the end zone. And then you had Jude Dyer's speed around the left sideline that just raced up where nobody caught him and went 58 yards into the end zone. You can kind of see the future a little bit in both of those two, because when Carson leaves, you're going to have both of those stepping into those starter roles, and it's good to see them get into the game in a playoff game like this to kind of feel that atmosphere.
Yeah, during the regular season, probably didn't get those. Jude was banged up from injury he had earlier in the year, so he missed a lot of varsity games. And Maddox playing outstanding on defense, so you didn't want to put him in there in some of them blowout wins in the region. But we talked about it. We've got to get those guys meaningful minutes if they need to step in there. Kane Ricker's another one. We got to get in there. We got him some reps, quality reps at quarterback. And he had a good run. Got a lot of sophomores stepping in there, playing different roles. Really happy about that. Those guys play a lot of special teams, but when they can step in there and show what they got to help this football team, it says a lot what we've got in the future.
And I know the defense we spoke about too, but I just want to shout out some of their names, because a lot of times it's just the defensive unit. But from watching the game the other night, you had so many players make plays. You had C.J. Reyes, who almost had a blocked punt. That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
You had Bishop Merriweather, who had that big sack whenever they got down into the red zone, the only time besides the scoring drive that they had in the fourth quarter. Zayden Anderson was so close to picking off about 2 or 3 balls the other night. I know Taryn Clarity had a great night in the defensive secondary also. You've got Drew Armbrister back there. Down there. You've got Brandon Iezzi, Noah Murray. You've had so many players that have made plays on Friday nights, and it's special to watch that defense, because you don't know who's going to come up with the big play, but everybody's capable of coming up with that big play.
I think we're continue to get better at our scheme. We put a lot of time and effort teaching that scheme, and we've continued to get better and better. Our pass defense the other night, guys were getting to where they needed to get in the drops. We were able to play some man coverage and do some different things, able to get some pressure on the quarterback and hit him a few times. Another guy that's playing really good football right now is Jackson Nichols, is doing a really good job on the defensive front. Brandon Iezzi and Zorian is playing really good football up there, rotating a lot of those guys because they're playing on the offensive line. But, as a whole, as a defense, we're playing our best football when we need to be playing it.
And you're moving on to week 2 of the playoffs now. You've got Gibbs coming up now. Very tough team, very physical team. I looked at their record, 10-1 so far throughout the season. But as we talked about it last week, every team from here on out is going to be a very, very good football team. Now that you're down to only 16 teams left in the state in Class 4A, before we talk about that game too much, though, we need to go ahead and take a break as always. So we'll be back to talk about that game against Gibbs right after this break here on Grassroots Media.
At Corner Pawn, the friendly and knowledgeable staff has the experience necessary to help you out regardless the need. Have an item of value you'd like to pawn or sell? Corner Pawn can help. They pawn numerous items of value, including firearms, tools, ammunition, silver, coins, and much more. When you walk through their doors, you'll find well-stocked shelves full of electronics, gaming systems, fishing and hunting equipment, car audio and accessories. And don't forget about the room full of guitars and basses and amplifiers, or their outside lawn and garden equipment. Corner Pawn is a case knife dealer and carries numerous used knives as well. Stop by and let the friendly staff at Corner Pawn help you today at 432 East Bernard Avenue, Greeneville, Tennessee.
Pizza Inn offers contactless buffet to go with JoJo's Family Feast or anything on our menu for carryout. We also honor birthday parties and cater to businesses and large events. We make it easy. Call us today. Pizza Inn Greeneville.
For more than 30 years, Tommy's Plumbing has served customers in East Tennessee with licensed and professional plumbing services. From installing your new faucet to replacing your existing piping system, our team at Tommy's Plumbing is trained to handle the job with professionalism, attention to detail, and integrity. By offering warranties on most products installed by our technicians, Tommy's Plumbing stands behind our work, ensuring that your plumbing needs are not only met, but that your problem is solved for the long term. When you need reliable and professional plumbing service, Tommy's is the only call to make. So give us a call today and let us show you the Tommy's difference.
Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Marathon QuickStops Eddie Spradlen Show, where we cover everything inside a beautiful Burley Stadium with the Greeneville Green Devils football team. As always, I'm joined here with head football coach Eddie Spradlen. So you've got Gibbs coming up now for the second round of the TSSAA Class 4A playoffs. It's a team that you hosted in this exact game last year also. It got a little chippy in that game. You started out a little slow, but you were able to pull away in the end for a big victory over Gibbs to advance into that game against Anderson County. Looking to do the same this year and advance into that quarterfinal round again, but you got to go through Gibbs again. What's it going to take to get through them on Friday night?
It's going to be a big-time challenge for our football team on Friday night for sure. Really good football team, 10-1 like you mentioned. They've beat a good Halls football team that's still playing. They beat Fulton, who went toe-to-toe with Elizabeth, and they were in the game with Anderson County. It was 14-6 at halftime. So really good football team. Got an athletic offensive line. Really good athletes. Quarterback, same kid that played against us last year. Running backs, got a lot of yards, hard runner, downhill kid, really good receiver. So it's going to be a big challenge for us. They fly around on defense and try to get a lot of different looks. They're not very big on defense, but they're flying around making a lot of plays.
And I know you get it here at home for the second year in a row. How crucial is that to be able to play that game here at home? Because I know when it comes to playoffs, I don't think people realize how important it is to play these games at home. They've got to drive down here and take that long bus ride. You don't. You get to have the opportunity and the fortune to stay here at home in the comfort of your own turf. So how important is that to be able to host them here in that crucial playoff game?
Yeah, anytime that you know how special it is to play at Burley Stadium, the fans, the environment, it's top notch. So it's gives us an advantage for sure, but when they come in here, they're going to give all they got. All that kind of goes out the window, but they're going to bring a lot of fans. I saw them play against Fulton on a Thursday night. They had way more fans than Fulton did. It's going to be a special environment on Friday night. Nobody else is playing around this area, so there's going to be a lot of people here on Friday.
And then talk about Gibbs a little bit more in detail. I know we talked about some of their position players and some of their playmakers, but talk about what kind of schemes you can expect on offense and defense.
Offensively, they kind of two schemes in one. They run a little option stuff, and they'll get under center and kind of double wing stuff. At the same time, they'll spread you out in two on each side, or go 3-by-1, just multiple in what they do on offense. Defensively, the same thing. They're going to play a lot of forefront, three-front stuff, give you a lot of different varied looks to try to mess with your offense. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down, we got to win the line of scrimmage.
And when it comes to these playoff games like this, I know you really don't need any extra motivation when it comes to these games because it's always win or go home. After the win last week against Carter, going into a game against Gibbs this week, how pumped up do you think the players are to play in this game again?
Oh, yeah, they're excited. Opportunity for them to keep on playing football at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. This senior class don't want this thing to end. They want to keep on playing as long as we can keep on playing. So, big-time challenge, like we mentioned, we're going to have to bring our best, and it starts the day of practice. We've got to have a really good day of practice and build off of it and be ready to go from the we can't start slow, and we didn't play very good to start against them last year, so we got to get the ball going early and often in that game.
And I know something that's probably in the back of their minds also is something that we had just talked about during the break, is that this could potentially be those seniors' last home game here in Burley Stadium, because if you win this game and if Anderson County were to win this game, it's their year to host, so you would have to travel down there to Anderson County. Of course, if Elizabethton pulls off that upset, you would get to host Elizabethton here for the second time in 4 weeks, but there is that opportunity that this is the last time that those seniors get to play here at home. Between the hedges, I hadn't said that all this year in Burley Stadium. How special of a night do you think it would be for those seniors to come up with a win one last time here in Burley?
Yeah, you know, this senior class won a lot of football games while they've been here. We talked about undefeated in the region. You played in two quarterfinal games and a semifinal game. So, you know, they want to go and keep on playing and do even more with their senior year. So, but anytime you can get a win in here at Burley Stadium in the playoffs, it's always going to be special.
Absolutely, and to get that win also, you've got 3 keys to the game that you've got to carry out in order to get that win. What are they this Friday night against Gibbs?
You know, I kind of mentioned a minute ago, we got to win up front, especially on the offensive line. We got to be able to move the football. We got to be able to run it. We got to get the ball to those playmakers. So that's big. First and foremost, we got to continue to do that. Defensively, we got to make sure and control their run game. They got they learn a lot of jet sweep stuff, really big running back that runs it downhill. So we've got a big challenge in their run game. It's going to be hard to stop it, but we got to be able to limit the big plays that they're able to get in the run game. And at the same time, we got to be, and the third one's got to be able to continue to, I felt like that was our best special teams game that we've played. We got to continue to build off that. You've got to win the special teams battle in a game like this. Neither team, both teams got nothing to lose. Both teams want to continue to play. So you can't hold anything back. Onside kicks, trick plays, whatever. You got to be ready for it.
Absolutely, and it's always special when it comes down to these games. Playoff games are special nonetheless, but not every team is afforded that opportunity to move into the second round. We've seen that this week with the other teams in the county. They got knocked out, and now you're the only one left standing now. So like you said, all eyes will kind of be on you. Within the city and the county, you can expect a lot more people to be here. So as we always say, show up early, because you do not want to get stuck parking all the way down here or there and walking all the way up the hill like I did on Friday night, because I showed up late myself. So do as I say, not as I do. Show up early, get a seat here at Burley Stadium. Come watch the Green Devils on Friday night as they take on Gibbs for potentially the last game inside of Burley Stadium this year. But until next week when we sit down, Coach,
appreciate
best of luck on Friday night.
Go Devils.
Absolutely. Hope we can sit down and talk about another win on Friday or on Monday next week. But until then, thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Marathon QuickStops Eddie Spradlen Show. Look forward to seeing you all next time here on Grassroots Media.